Mary Fields, an enslaved woman, was born in the spring of 1832 in Hickman County, Tennessee, claiming her birth was on March 15th. She was emancipated at the end of the Civil War in 1865 and found work as a chambermaid aboard a Mississippi River steamboat. There she met Judge Edmund Dunn, who invited her to work in his home as a servant when Dunn's wife died. Fields moved to Toledo, Ohio, where she helped care for Dunn's 5 children in the home of his sister, Mother Amadeus, a mother superior at a Ursuline convent. Mary began work as a groundskeeper, taking an interest in botany. In 1884, Mother Amadeus was sent to Montana Territory, St. Peter's Mission, west of Cascade, to establish a school for Native American girls. However, it wasn't long before a telegram notified Mary of her friend's near-death illness with pneumonia. Mary traveled 5 days from the Great Northern Railway in Helena, Montana, to a wagon to a single-harness sleigh over the deep snowpack. Mary arrived at Birdtail, a monolithic rock that depicted a feather-like peak, vaulting over a serene landscape and a small, distant cabin. Upon entering, Mary grew weary, seeing ice clinging to the walls as despair and sadness fell before the Native American children huddled in a corner. A couple of nuns coaxed her into the darkness, presenting her to the weakened Amadeus. It was very quiet as Mary did everything she could to heal her friend. Meanwhile, the nuns needed more supplies and money to counter this evil. Diminished rations, a lone stove needed firewood. Bedding was absent on the frozen earth floor, but Mary knew of hardship. Survival skills, ranching, and equestrian, she was determined to see all in her care survive the winter. Mary set traps, shot wild game, chopped wood, and made essential repairs to the home for more practical living. School was set up during the day, with furs at night for sleeping. Thanks to Mary, months went by and her friend Amadeus recovered, as they also saw attendance grow. Before a decade went by, a 3-story stone building replaced the small cabin. Mary and the nuns furthered their efforts in raising livestock and crops and providing religious services for the locals. One nun stated, "Mary Fields did everything we couldn't." She was a fierce protector, knew her way around a sharpshooter, and fought off wolf attacks, blizzards, and mended wagons when they crashed. She even provided musical accompaniment on guitar, banjo, and harmonica. Whenever Father Linsmith, an army chaplain, visited, he was sure to compliment her on her hospitality and delicious cooking. But in July 1894, a distasteful Catholic bishop named Reverend John Baptist Brondell held another view and used his power to undermine Mary's work and dismiss her on the grounds of bad behavior. He sent a final letter to her friend Amadeus to stay clear of Mary, what he called the laundress. According to some historians, Mary had a penchant for cigars and drink, dressed in men's clothing, and if her work was not respected, she would let people know it. One account proposes Mary had an altercation with a male convent janitor, leaving the two pointing guns at one another. It would not be long before Mary settled in Cascade, establishing a modest eatery. It was a popular spot, but just in about 10 months, her kindness was a financial detriment, as Mary shuttered the business, having given out too many handouts to those who could not afford it. In 1895, Mary signed up as the New Star Route mail carrier, a driver for the 68-mile round-trip route from Cascade to the mission. To her benefit, by being a U.S. mail carrier, she was protected under federal jurisdiction, and the bishop's mandate of staying clear of the nuns was unenforceable. Mary held this position for 8 years, driving supplies and freight by horse and wagon along the bird-tail rocky terrain,
servicing the growing number of residents. Some historians claim Amadeus donated a stagecoach to Mary for use as a carrier. She protected the mail from thieves and bandits with a rifle and a revolver. Mary trekked the route with snowshoes if the snow was too deep to drive in. It is said she always attended every day of work. Notably, she became the first African American woman and only the second woman in the U.S. as the U.S. mail carrier role. Over the years, she saw the area and mood around Cascade changing, and now the majority white population was promoting the gold in the mountains and non-inclusivity. Mary would be called vulgar names, and one moniker that stuck was Stagecoach Mary.
Fields retired from the Star Route in 1903 at the age of 71. She continued working as a laundress, setting up shop in her Cascade home, along with child care services. Any money she raised, she put back into brightening the children's lives with treats and fresh fruit. Eventually, these children and parents grew up with a fondness for her, unshared by others who held on to the prejudice.
March 15th became a day in which the Cascade School would celebrate Mary Field's birthday, and other townsfolk, like the Cascade Hotel and Restaurant, were grateful to have Mary promote the town to the world, gifting her free meals for the rest of her life. In 1910, Mary, who enjoyed baseball, agreed to be the town's Cascade Cubs mascot. At the time, given such a title would require demeaning treatment by hecklers.
She would care for the team, including oiling bats and pressing their uniforms. She crafted homegrown flowers into boutonnieres for each player and was their biggest cheerleader.
In January of 1911, a new mayor and his council brought several ordinances that reduced women's rights. Among them is the denial of females' entry into saloons. Although it applied to all females, it really was targeting Mary. Mary would go into watering holes as a driver to investigate the latest news surrounding outlaws and conflicts.
It became her social hangout as her friends were laborers, cowboys, and such, but this law stopped it altogether.
Mary took her frustration to the post office the following year and registered to vote on February 17th. She would see her house burn down within a few months, but also good friends help rebuild it. In 1913, D.W. Monroe won the seat for mayor and removed the saloon restriction. At 82, on December 5th, 1914, Mary died, and her funeral was well attended, but obituaries continued to memorialize her with those monikers. Flowers were left daily at the small tin cross that is now memorialized today with a gravestone bearing her name. This has been Biographies of the West. My name is Lorin Morgan-Richards. Thanks for watching.